What is a contract? Importantly, it is not a document. It might be a document, but a contract is a lot more than a piece of paper. There are 4 basic elements of a contract. There need to be parties, people or organizations. There needs to be both an offer and an acceptance. The parties involved need to mean to be legally bound. They have to intend to be legally bound to the contract. And there needs to be consideration. Consideration here is not the contemplation of the contract. Consideration means an exchange of value. The parties seems simple enough. Need to have 2. Here we have party A and party B. But of course, like all things in the law, it can be more complicated. Yes, there can be more than 2 parties. You might have a 3-party arrangement. And yes, there can be more than 3. There sometimes can be a lot more than 3. But in most commercial arrangements, there are 2, and we'll focus on situations where there's party A and party B. Just know that multi-party agreements are entirely possible. There needs to be an offer and acceptance. In the simplest form, when you go to a store, that store says that they will offer you 4 boxes of pencils for $4. And you announce formally at the register, "I accept your offer." Well, while you may not do that, in fact, there is an offer and an acceptance. And whether we're talking about a box of pencils, or a $100 million piece of real estate, or a software license, or the purchase of professional services, there is an offer of something, a product or a service, at a price with a term and an acceptance of that offer. So in our image here, party A is offering something to party B, and party B is accepting that offer. Now, do we both want to have an enforceable deal, or are we just announcing our hopes and aspirations? If you intend to be legally bound, the contract will often announce that at the top to make it clear that the parties intend this to be a contract. That is the clearest way to deal with it. That is why in many contracts you will see an announcement of that intent as an incorporation of a term in the contract. They're trying to make it clear to any court and to anyone else in these organizations in the future that they do intend to have an enforceable deal. This is not a gift. It's not something else. It is, in fact, an enforceable contract. And so we're going to look for evidence of their intent, but the clearest evidence is an announcement of that intent in the contract itself. But there can be external evidence of that intent, and if there was ever a dispute about whether or not a contract existed, this may be a grounds for examining the validity and enforceability of that contract, is whether both parties intended it to be an enforceable contract. And finally, there needs to be consideration. There needs to be an exchange of benefits or items of value. Without 2 sides to that exchange, it is a gift or something else entirely. And so here we have party A delivering a box of pencils, or these 5 orange blocks, and party B is exchanging money for those things, or vice versa. To review 4 basic principles of contracts, there need to be at least 2 parties. Yes, there can be more. There needs to be both an offer and an acceptance, and an intent to be legally bound by those parties, and an exchange of value. And when you bring it all together, you have party A and B exchanging, most commonly, money for things. They might be services. We're speaking very generally, and they have a mutual intent to be bound by that contract.